The cold wind coming off the Atlantic carried a strange feeling that winter morning in December 2010. Gilgo Beach, a long stretch of isolated sand on the southern coast of Long Island, was supposed to be a peaceful place, a quiet escape from the crowded streets of New York City. The houses near the shoreline were the kind people visited only in the summer. But in winter, Gilgo Beach belonged to the wind, the waves, and silence. And it was exactly that silence that was shattered when a Suffolk County police officer searching for a missing woman let his trained dog run freely through the thick brush by the dunes. What the dog found would ignite one of the most disturbing serial killer investigations in American history, a mystery that would stretch on for more than a decade, haunting the East Coast and leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and lost lives. The disappearance that triggered it all was that of Shannan Gilbert, a 24-year-old escort who vanished after a frantic 911 call in May 2010. She had been working through an online escort advertisement and was last seen near Oak Beach, terrified, running through the neighborhood in the dark, banging on doors, screaming that someone was trying to kill her. Police at the time dismissed the incident as a misunderstanding, assuming she was disoriented and panicked. They minimized her disappearance, saying it wasn't connected to anything deeper or darker. They were wrong. Months later, as Officer John Mallier and his German Shepherd partner Blue searched the coastline for Shannan, Blue suddenly dove toward a heavily overgrown patch of beach grass. The officer pushed aside the tangled branches and debris and froze. Lying in the sand was a burlap sack. Inside it were skeletal remains. This wasn't Shannan Gilbert. This was someone else. And then, over the following days, 3 more burlap sacks appeared. 4 women, all strangled, all placed in the same kind of burlap, all working as escorts through Craigslist or similar platforms, all dumped in the same stretch of beach within walking distance of each other, and all forgotten by the world until now. The media descended on Long Island, naming the unknown killer the Craigslist Ripper. Families cried on television, demanding justice. Police scrambled under pressure like they had never experienced before. But what they didn't expect was that the discovery of these 4 bodies was just the beginning. Over the next months, as investigators expanded the search area, more human remains appeared, some dismembered, some scattered, some belonging to victims whose cases dated back years. 11 sets of human remains in total were eventually recovered in the Gilgo Beach Ocean Parkway corridor. It was becoming clear that this was not the work of one impulsive killer. It was someone organized, calculated, cruel, and extremely patient. Someone who lived a normal life by day and hunted women by night. For years, the case went cold. Mouths went quiet. Leads disappeared. The families of the victims grew hopeless. And yet somewhere on Long Island, the killer lived freely, blending in, paying taxes, going grocery shopping, maybe attending school events or neighborhood barbecues. Just another face in the crowd. That face turned out to be Rex Heuermann. No one who knew him ever suspected that behind his thick glasses, awkward posture, and ordinary suburban life, he hid the darkest secrets the East Coast had seen since the days of Son of Sam. Heuermann was a 59-year-old architect living in Massapequa Park, just a short drive from Gilgo Beach. He had a wife, 2 children, a modest house, and a reputation for being socially awkward but harmless. He worked in Manhattan, riding the same trains every day, eating at the same delis, keeping to himself. But inside his computer was a secret world, violent fantasies, searches for torture tools, and thousands of images related to sex workers. His phone was used to contact escorts using fake identities. And worst of all, his pattern matched the timeline of the original Gilgo Four murders perfectly. The breakthrough finally came in 2023, when a newly elected task force reopened the case with fresh eyes. They used advanced cell phone tower analysis, DNA technology, surveillance records, and old witness statements that had been ignored the first time around. Bit by bit, the evidence began pointing in one undeniable direction. It was Heuermann's phone, using burner numbers to call the victims before their disappearances. It was Heuermann's Chevy Avalanche seen by a witness near one of the dumping sites. It was Heuermann's DNA on pizza, crust thrown into a Manhattan trash, and that matched DNA found on one of the burlap sacks. It was Heuermann seen driving near Gilgo Beach late at night on dates that matched the murders. It was Heuermann searching obsessively for updates about the investigation for years afterward. The more investigators dug, the clearer the picture became. This was not a man who killed impulsively. This was someone who stalked, planned, lured, and controlled. Someone who selected vulnerable women, pretending to be a client. Someone who used his home or another isolated location to carry out torture and strangulation. Someone who then wrapped their bodies in burlap, something rarely used except by landscapers, and dumped them in the dark along a narrow beach road. But the most chilling part was how normal his life looked from the outside. Neighbors described him as stiff, unfriendly, a little odd, but never dangerous. He collected guns. He worked long hours. He was known to get angry about minor things, like people touching his manicured lawn, but nothing that screamed serial killer. His wife was shocked when police raided their home, ripping up floorboards, digging through the backyard, seizing over 200 weapons, and carrying out boxes of evidence. And yet, even as police suspected him of multiple murders throughout the 1990s and 2000s, they remained cautious. They wanted an airtight case, so they focused first on the victims known collectively as the Gilgo Four. Amber Costello, Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, Maureen Brainard Barnes. 4 young women with dreams, families, and hopes, forgotten by society, but not forgotten by the killer who hunted them. Melissa Bartholomew's phone had been used after her murder to call her family, mocking them, taunting them, and making cruel comments. The calls were traced to areas near Heuermann's workplace. Megan Waterman, a young mother, was last seen alive on a surveillance camera entering a hotel. Police now believe Heuermann picked her up shortly afterward. Amber Costello had been approached by a man describing himself in the exact way Heuermann looked, an awkward, hulking man with big glasses. Maureen Brainard Barnes disappeared after telling a friend she had a new, well-paying client. Police now believe that client was Heuermann. The timeline was too perfect, the evidence too specific, the pattern too consistent. And after 13 years, justice finally began to unfold. On a warm morning in July 2023, police swarmed Heuermann's small home in Massapequa Park. He was arrested near his Manhattan office, looking stunned, almost confused, as camera crews captured every second. He looked like a normal man going to work. No one could have imagined he would soon be charged with the murders of the Gilgo Four. The arrest sent a shockwave through New York. True crime communities erupted. The families cried tears of relief, and the investigation only intensified as police searched his home, storage units, computers, phones, and tools. They found disturbing items. They found trophies. They found journals. And they found enough evidence to link him to at least 10 more potential victims. But the case was far from over. In 2024 and 2025, new remains were matched, new evidence surfaced, and prosecutors revealed more shocking details, especially about the level of planning involved. They believe he studied the victims carefully, used burner phones, avoided surveillance, and timed his killings when his family was out of town. He didn't kill randomly. He killed when he knew he wouldn't be caught. And then came the biggest twist. The investigation showed that Heuermann had likely been killing for nearly 20 years. By mid-2025, the number of suspected victims had grown significantly. Court documents revealed patterns in Heuermann's life: business trips, gaps in his schedule, unexplained late-night travel near coastal areas, and even possible connections to unsolved cases in other states.